So imagine for a moment that you're not the developer of the game, but a gamer. So what do you think would be the thing about the game that you would be most reluctant about, or you have doubts about, and how would you tell yourself that don't worry, that it will be fine?
I think the size of the game is interesting. It's such a big game that it's kind of hard to understand. We're doing a lot of things, a lot of content. In the end, what we want to do is make sure it's presented to the player in a very understandable and readable manner. But I think the sheer size, the amount of things you can do, the different activities, how do I drive and hack, how do I shoot and hack, how does that experience work? That's kind of the core of our challenge, and that's what we're working really hard to simplify and make it easy for the player.
You're using a similar system as in Far Cry 3 with these kind of outposts, the control rooms that are kind of the radio towers of Watch Dogs. So can you say how many there will be and how big the city is in terms of square footage, square miles?
Well, first thing, it's similar in the sense that you progress in the world. What we're doing really different things is this 2S network needs to be hacked, and if you don't hack it, you actually don't have access to your tech. Once you have that, it was shown a bit in the presentation, you can actually use the CityOS network system in those areas to find content. Now, there was a small kind of scanning animation, so that's how the player finds, crimes or events. So it's not the same at all, but what we do is we want the player to gain control to the world, and to gain control to his powers, and gain more information and activities through that.
And how big would you say the city is?
Right now we are showing 2 districts, so the Wars and the Loop, and we're not disclosing all the rest, but you'll see that in the next month. The Wars is kind of a poor neighborhood, and the Loop is kind of a richer, more urban neighborhood. More to come in the next month.
So these missions that are kind of generated on the fly, are there an endless supply of this, or is it a finite number? Or?
We have both. We do have some that you play once and it's done, but all the things we show, the CityOS alerts, so the criminal activities, is endless. Essentially, your system is monitoring for crime probability by intersecting emails or phone conversation, and it's tracking the chance of these things to happen, and they can happen anywhere, and we're trying to do a lot of variety, a lot of different scenarios, and then as a player and as the character you have a choice. If you know there's going to be a crime, a murder, a holdup, what are you going to do? Are you going to ignore it? Are you going to do something about it? And then it creates interesting gameplays, foot chase, car chase, but it's really up to the player. Is he interested in doing those? Some players are just narrative, it's okay, but we want to give a lot of quality activities in the open game as well.
So far we've only seen kind of these chase missions, where you're just one of the guy. Can you say anything, what kind of other types of these procedural missions there would be?
The things that we have mentioned is car chase, foot chase, combat. It actually goes, they can even call for help, so it can go into full car combat, so it will expand and they can bring friends, so this system will evolve in progression and variety.
So will there also be missions inside of buildings, or will they always be on the outside?
And you mean in the main campaign? Yeah, inside of buildings, yes.
Yeah, also in the, as you said, in the main campaign, what does that mean?
It means there's story missions, and there's free roaming missions, what we call it. If you're not in a mission, you're in the open. And the answer is yes to both. So there's a lot of variety. You can go in places, a lot of use the city. But essentially, if you're doing main missions or campaign missions, it's the activities that are similar. It's always using the combat, the shooting, the navigation, and the hacking. So all of these offer the player a choice to the player to how to solve his problems in these missions.
We saw these kind of progression system as there were flashes of XP. What kinds of stuff will the player unlock? You mentioned before that you will unlock, of course, stuff like hacking different systems, but will there also be like getting better with guns or having more health?
There's 3 main axes. There's the economy. There's the perks, so experience will actually give you points that you can buy perks with, so physically you can become better. and technology, having more access to, say, hacking opportunities is also developed. So it's really three things, you know, guns, cars, tech, physical perks, a bit light RPG elements, if I can kind of help to make it understandable. Those are all available in progression.
In your presentation, you mentioned the reputation system. How does this come into play? Because you said there will be no, you don't pass judgment of players, but you also have this kind of bar.
Well, the way we do it is reputation is a feedback. So as a vigilante, you have a choice of how you solve these problems. You can use a lot of violence, or you can, you know, send the guy to the police. And the social media, so like you saw the media broadcast, there was like TV. They will reflect back the type of player you are, if you're very, you know, reckless or not. But for us, it's really player choice. You know, you're the player. You want to play like you want to play, and the game will let you play. So there's benefits in playing whichever way. So by not judging, it means that you will get feedback. Yeah, okay, this is perceived bad by the media system, but it will also give you benefits, you know, economy and all that. So that's when we say not judging, meaning there's some good playing either way, and that's really up to the player. We don't want to say, this is a good way to play our game, and play it like you want to.
So kind of the world is kind of judging you, but not the game or the developer.
Yeah, exactly. So the socialized components, the media will be judging you. The city will say, well, this guy is dangerous, basically. But the systemic parts and, you know, some of the other things will actually help.
I just wondered how much dialogue you actually record, because there was lots of stuff, lots of random stuff, and most of it was funny, and how much, just to wrap my head around this.
I don't have specific numbers, but it's a lot. So you would have to listen for like hours to people to hear repetition in there, and there's quite a lot of things. Like you saw, we have like textos, or SMS, and we also have phone conversation. So obviously it's a ton of data. I do not know the specific number, but it's a lot. We don't want it to be
So you would actually say that this game you could play like months on end, because as you said, these missions are generated and there will be some repetition, of course, but
we definitely want to give a lot of hours of gameplay, and the thing is, for the player, we want to give everything. Meaning, if you want strong story, you have it. If you want to do a lot of driving, a lot of side activities, you have it. If you want to do multiplayer, you have it. So for us, it's about player choice. So everything is, you know, in a sense, like a buffet. You choose what you want to do, and we want to give that option to the player for him to express himself. But it should be like many hours of gameplay for sure.
So one thing you also choose is kind of this multiplayer aspect of the game. It was mentioned briefly that how does it work? If everybody's playing his own story, playing as Aiden, how can there be any other characters by other players in my game?
There is when you play the game, you have Aiden and you have a multiplayer avatar. So there's not just Aidens in the universe. And what we're really trying to do is stop the paradigm of you know, quitting the game, going to the menu, and starting either multi or single. Why would you do that? If I'm playing single player, and if I want to play with others, why should I quit? That's what we're trying to achieve. So you can go and join people in multiplayer, and people can come in and join you in some activities that we have. We're going to reveal the details in the next ones, but it's not all about killing. You can, like Jonathan mentioned, you can be hacked, you can be tailed. Someone could come in your game, leave your game, and you never knew he was there. It's really trying to develop new mechanics that support this seamless aspect of single and breaking the wall. Oh, I don't like multi, I like singles. Well, why is that? Can you not make that choice as you're playing? But if people are not interested, it's their choices.
So it sounds like you were inspired by Dark Souls, kind of this where other players can invade your own game. So is this kind of a...
amongst others, there's also all the social media. You know, there's a lot of games that use social aspects. If I could put a phrase on it, I would say, we want this game to offer you more choice because you're online. It should not be negative, it's positive. So if someone is connected, you can play with another friend or someone on the network on a tablet, on iOS, on Android, or I could play with someone in multi that it's not exactly in the same mode as I am. So we're trying to blend all of these. It's super interesting R&D and super interesting and challenging design. It's really fun to do this.